Our gospel reading this morning is from John chapter 17. Jesus said, "I ask not only on behalf of these, but also on behalf of those who will believe in me through their word, that they may all be one. As you, Father, are in me and I am in you, may they also be in us, so that the world may believe that you have sent me. The glory that you have given me, I have given them, so that they may be one as we are one. I in them and you in me, that they may become completely one, so that the world may know that you have sent me and have loved them even as you have loved me. Father, I desire that those also whom you have given me may be with me where I am, to see my glory, which you have given me because you loved me before the foundation of the world. Righteous Father, the world does not know you, but I know you, and these know that you have sent me. I made your name known to them, and I will make it known, so that the love with which you have loved me may be in them, and I in them." May these sacred words resonate in our hearts and guide us on the path of truth. Amen. Well, good morning, everybody, officially. What a warm and wonderful welcome we have received over the past few days, but especially this morning. So we are really, really glad to be here. As Priscilla mentioned, it was a trek from the West Coast, but we are more than happy to be in this place and among all of you. So I figured this morning, rather than a more traditional sermon, you're probably wondering, who is this new guy that's up in front of the church? It's like, who have we actually called to be our new minister? So spend a bit of time telling you a bit about me, how I got here, and kind of what I hope for us as we move into our ministry together for the long and foreseeable future. So as Priscilla mentioned, I am Reverend Nathan. Nathan is perfectly fine. It's the name my parents gave me. It's worked well for all these years, so Nathan is perfectly fine if you want to speak with me. I'm not big on the titles, so please feel very comfortable calling me Nathan. I was born in upstate New York, so I'm one of those strange people with two passports, right? Depending on where I'm going, which one I use. And actually grew up in the church. So I was only 5 weeks old when I was baptized on my mother's birthday, a small church in New Jersey. And I think from that very moment, I knew that I would somehow end up in ministry. I never seemed to be able to get away from the church or get away from God's call. Every place I went, it seemed that God said, "Hey, Nathan, psst, come here. Got something in mind for you." And so my parents put my brother and I into a Catholic elementary school. And so as we're going through school, of course, there's mass every week and religion classes, and it was really seen to be drawn to learning more about this God that we have been worshiping. And so really intrigued me. And so I wanted to learn more and learn more and learn more. And so as I began to grow and develop in the faith, others began to notice some things in me that they said, well, you might be actually being called by God in a way that's different than some other people. And so the joke around the nuns that ran the school, they said, "Nathan, you're going to be the first Protestant pope." I'm like, well, tell Martin Luther that one, right? And so that kind of first external affirmation about what may be a future path for me in terms of where I'd end up spending my life. And so I thought about that for a while and thought, nah, like the other prophets, God, you're not choosing the right person, forget about it, move on, somebody over here is the much better choice. Well, as the years went by, I went to my Catholic high school, and one day I'm in history class, and I get this message from the chaplain that he needed to see me right away. So, got excused from class, went down to the chaplain's office. He said, "So, Nathan, the other priests and I have been talking, and we'd like you to join our order. Become a priest like one of us." I said, "Well, thank you very much, but I'm not Catholic." He said, "We can take care of that." Like, as tempting as that sounds, I don't quite think so. So, of course, I went home and talked to my parents and let them know about this conversation I had had. And they said, "Well, go and talk to our minister." right? Have the conversation with somebody within our own faith tradition. And so went, of course, and had the conversation with him. And he says, it's funny you would come and talk to me about this. I was going to mention that to you myself and was just looking for the right opportunity. So I said, okay, once, twice is a coincidence, third time, a bit more than that. And so once I had that conversation, I knew that my path of studies would lead me toward ordained ministry. And so I did my bachelor's degree in behavioral science. What better field to study than about people's behavior, particularly in churches? You may have noticed that churches are kind of like families, right? We tend to behave not so well sometimes with family members. There are disagreements sometimes, but again, a lot of laughter and a lot of fun. And so I figured it was a good field to study. So I learned some psychology, learned some sociology, some anthropology, enough to kind of get me well grounded in working with people. Because that's a lot of what a minister does, right? Working with people on a daily basis and really trying to understand what's causing them pain, right? And how can I help to alleviate that pain, right? To show them that there is hope and peace and love and light. So that's where I graduated from my bachelor's degree, and I haven't ever wanted to do things the slow way, so I did it in 3 years rather than 4. Right? Took a couple extra classes in high school and then advanced placement, and I said, there's no need to wait to get this done. And so powered through and finished my bachelor's degree, and then started seminary. And so as I started seminary, I was called the kid. I was younger than everybody else in my class. Right? Because everyone else was predominantly second career, so those in their 40s and 50s that had had a whole other life and heard that call to ministry much later on. And so was studying with people with families and kids. One woman was actually collecting her retirement, right, when she decided to start seminary. A whole range of people, which was a remarkably wonderful place to study. Right, to hear all these different stories about people's journeys of faith and how they got to be to that place. How it was that God was working in their lives and calling them into this very unique and special relationship with members of a congregation. And so I was kind of fortunate that as I worked my way through seminary that I had the opportunity to do my internship in Argentina. Right, so I spent a full 12 months working and living in Buenos Aires, Argentina, serving 3 different congregations, right? All in Spanish. And so I had studied Spanish in high school, but really had to become fluent since I couldn't preach in English, which long-term has been a wonderful gift to have a second language. My partner Roberto is from Spain, and so Spanish is what we speak at home, and so it keeps me fluent. He always wants me to practice his English a bit more, but his English is great. So after I finished those 12 months in Argentina, I had the invitation from the equivalent of a presbytery to be appointed to a church in Harpers Ferry, West Virginia. Right, so a little battlefield town in Harpers Ferry, West Virginia, and so I really learned how to talk with the accent. And it was a great experience. So 10 months working with that congregation in my last year of seminary, and it was great to have that kind of English to balance off the Spanish in terms of the ministry in which I would engage. And so after graduation, I actually waited a while to be ordained. And so I finished my master's degree in 2000, so it's hard to believe it's been 19 years since I finished my master's in divinity. You blink and time disappears. But was ordained and to serve First Congregational Church, United Church of Christ in Albany, New York. It's an interesting way to serve in that I was called to First Congregational, but to serve another congregation. So the arrangement was that I was the associate pastor at large. And so it seemed like I was a convict, right? He's at large. But the idea was there was another congregation on the other side of the river, and yes, we will be living on the south side, sorry, that needed an interim minister. And so you couldn't be ordained to interim ministry, but they said if you're ordained as this associate pastor at large, you can actually do the interim minister thing, and did that for many, many years. And so the intention was never an interim, but rather an interim. And so from there, I got a call to actually move to Canada. And so it was 11 years ago that I came to Canada and ended up in Vancouver as the chaplain at the University of British Columbia. Right? So I went from New York all the way to the West Coast, and have now obviously come back to the Wright Coast. Right? And so it was wonderful to work as the chaplain there among all those students at UBC, and to see people from all over the country that come there to study and to hear more about their stories, and to work with people of that age is a remarkable gift, and to really see their faith is continuing to develop. And from there, I went to Queens Avenue United Church, right, and where I've come from most recently. Right, so Queens Avenue United Church is in New Westminster, the original capital of BC, right? And it's actually the oldest United Church in Western Canada. So 1859 was the congregation's date of being established. And so just celebrated the 160th anniversary before we came here. So it was kind of a remarkable privilege to be there for that service. Difficult congregation to leave, right? When I announced my resignation, there were tears from me as well as from the congregation, because for me, the role of a minister relating to the congregation is something that no other job, right, really provides to you. You touch people's lives in a way that nobody else possibly could. You're there to celebrate baptisms. You're there when people are getting married, when somebody is in hospital, hospice, right? Those key moments in people's lives, ministers are involved in such a way that there is this connection that is formed unlike any other relationship. And for me, I think that's the greatest gift that ministry gives to me. That opportunity to be in relationship with so many others. To work closely with a congregation as we seek ways together to serve God. How is it that we are called to be the people of God in this place, in this time? How are we called to live out our faith? Because as we heard in that reading from the Gospel of John of Jesus' prayer, that we may be one, but also so that, on behalf of all those who believe in him, others may come to know. Because that's what we are called to be as Christians, isn't it? People that pass along this good news, this message, this faith that we have inherited from all of those who have gone before us. And so as I look across my own life, I think of that congregation where I was born and raised. All the parts of the faith that I was taught from all those so loving people. I think of the sisters and priests that I had going through schooling, and the way that they showed me what it meant to be a person of faith and to live it out in their daily lives. I think of the congregations that I served in South America, in West Virginia, New York, BC, and now that we will have together here in Fredericton. And for me, it is a gift and a privilege. And I am confident that God is the one who has called us to be together. It is not some random accident that I'm standing before you this morning. That as we gave consideration as to where I would be applying for ministry positions, that Nashwauk Sister United Church floated to the top of our list. And so we prayed hard and long and decided, well, I'm going to submit the application. And then the search committee reached out and said, we'd love to have a Skype conversation with you. Right? And so it's great to be able to use technology for that distance, but nothing beats a face-to-face. And so came out here in January and met with the search committee and did a tour of the congregation and really said to myself, this is it. God, I know for a fact that this is where you are calling me to serve, that together we as God's people will become one. We'll become one in faith, one in service, one in love, one in our commitment to boldly proclaim the gospel here in this place. and I trust and know that God will be with us every step of the way. That as Jesus prayed for his followers that they may all be one, that prayer is for us. That you and I, all of us together, are one in our faith. One in sharing this love that we have come to know. And so I wanted to say thank you for extending God's invitation to me to be among you as your new minister of worship and pastoral care, for welcoming my family, for our dogs Coco and Cora, whom I'm assuming you saw a picture of earlier, as they survived the trip. At some point, my son Noah is 19 years old, and he's in Edmonton, at the university there, going into his third year of vocal performance. And so he's planning a trip out here in August, so I'm hoping to introduce you all to him then. But on behalf of all of my family, thank you, and you will be in my prayers and my thoughts. And please, with your name tags, it will help. Right? So thanks be to God. Amen.